Thank you so very much, everyone. This is Global Morning here on Global Television. We're delighted to welcome you to this space for the next 3 hours, thereabouts. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
I'm Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Many thanks for joining us on Global Morning today. Just get ready because we are taking you through a smooth ride.
Of course, smooth ride has to be, but the question is how smooth have the conversations themselves been across the country? Because today it will appear that it is one form of hiccup after another, but people say that the part of the night that is closest to the day or to dawn is always the darkest. So the darker it gets, the more, the higher our hope should be as to believing and trusting that everything is going to be fine real soon. And in that respect, I'm talking about this issue now regarding constitution review, reserving more space for women to participate in politics, in democracy, especially from the legislative standpoint. You and I have listened to Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu talk about all of these issues. And add to that, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan finally regained access into her office yesterday. But again, that's a bit controversial because people say she has regained access into her office. She has not resumed, even though we know we had seen news captions saying Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan resumes office. Around dinner time yesterday and things like that. But again, that's one of the central focus of our conversations today. One would have thought you would be at the United Nations General Assembly in New York now, but you have not given us a reason you're still in Abuja.
Well, I had to be here because my principal is already there. My principal has gone ahead, and other officials have also gone with him. But then I think so much is going on, and it's so good that we are having our voice being represented at the United Nations General Assembly. Then coming down to the issue of Natasha, well, Natasha is, one thing surprised me, and that is the resilience and holding on to the same thing, okay, from the beginning until the end. As at yesterday, if you listen to her speech, some person said, well, the question is, has the apology been done? Some other persons are saying there is a timeline for this suspension. The timeline is over. It has elapsed. Why still keeping her off her duties? Some persons are of the opinion that, this suspension is not just all about Natasha and Akpabio, but then the people at the Kogi Central Senatorial District. So many things playing out, and you see the support yesterday. A lot of people, a lot of things going on social media. But then, gaining access to her office and resuming senatorial duties. These are two different things. Because someone was telling me yesterday of how her aides initially was even stripped of their allowances, but later on, I think there was a plea or reconsideration by a senator who actually brought it up, to be talked about, and the aides allowances were being paid and all of that just for her. Now, resuming office, is it that now she can be doing some things on the ground, or she has fully resumed the sitting? Well, the sitting is going to be coming up, but then I think there is an extension, or else they would have resumed plenary sessions. But then let's keep our fingers crossed. But I feel getting access to our office is a step forward, and it beams more hope for her and her aides and her constituency and Nigerians that have been behind her. So we are just keeping our fingers crossed to see if she's going to resume her sessions at the plenary in earnest.
Okay, well, like what Ramsey said, we keep our fingers crossed. Incidentally, plenary resumes on the 7th. It was moved by the Senate, by the National Assembly, to 7th, and we're counting down already. That will be not quite even a fortnight from today, and we're going to be looking at the pattern, if you like, the trajectory of how we got here. Because in the first instance, like Ramsey also alluded to, the suspension was supposed to be for 6 months, and then you're wondering, why did the clerk, all right, of the Senate say, well, we can't, I can't reinstate you because there's an appeal pending which has not found closure yet, things like that. So if that had been the situation maybe a few weeks ago, how is it that the office has not been reopened? Who had a discussion? What was the discussion about? Was there a negotiation that led to all of these? And you're also asking yourself, how much of setback has this caused for the good people of Kogi Central? Because the lady is supposed to be representing people. She's not there for herself or for her immediate family or for a tiny minority of people, but for an entire senatorial district. Nobody apparently was representing them the whole time. Is there more to these than meets the eye? Is there someone not saying the whole truth as to what exactly led to where we are today? Was this all about seating arrangement, or was there more to it? Yes, we understand there's an element of this conversation that is still pending by way of appeal. We're not going to delve into all of that, but we're saying that we must rethink how we strengthen democracy. And if Nigeria can't trust the legislature, whether at the national or sub-national level, to help contribute to efforts to strengthen democracy. And then you're wondering, institutionally, who are we going to saddle with that weighty, all-important responsibility? Because the Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's case has become more like, if you like, a case study for how we shouldn't, if you like, jeopardize these sensitive, some people say nonsense, experimental democracy that we have. Yes, it's been here for a while, 26 years and counting, but we don't have to take actions deliberately or inadvertently that will, if you like, roll back the efforts or the successes that we have recorded so far as a country. And finally, we hope that, one, this doesn't repeat itself, and we also don't now make it a standard where tomorrow somebody is afraid, if I say something that is right, but offends someone, I might be suspended.
Especially some leaders.
Right. So that has to be resolved. And senators must understand what the rules say, the stipulated rules, and stick with them. Because there are people who say that Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan should have understood that sitting pattern has never really been an issue that will lead to all of these back and forth. That everybody has had that issue. But we have also seen a view of President of the Senate, Akpabio himself, having a heated moment with the then Senate President over a similar situation, all of that. And you know what they say, sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. So what is good to somebody in good is also good for someone from Igala.
That's right. I think you said it all, because I actually felt for her yesterday when she was saying, well, she was being treated as if she's a domestic
star. That was quite an emotional moment.
It was an emotional moment, and that went down into a lot of Nigerians. You need to see the reaction of Nigerians on social media, and some persons that even spoke to us one-on-one. People really felt for her, and especially women, even though some people were not in support of the whole situation. This is a situation here. You must have people for and people against. It's a situation, it's normal. So I wasn't surprised. But I think the good thing is that she has gained access to her office, and gaining access to her office is somehow equal to also resuming her sessions too. So we just keep our fingers crossed, like I've said earlier, to see what will happen. But then I think there are so many lessons to learn from this. You know, apart from the setback, remember, this went very viral. I was speaking with someone yesterday, and I said, this is the same country that every other patriotic citizen is trying their possible best to put on the global map for the very good reasons, looking at where we are at the moment as it has to do with blacklisting and, of course, bad image on the global map. And some persons don't even care whatever happens, especially people in authority. the issue of U.S. now corrupt officials should not gain access to the United States and all of that, you know, so many things happening. All these things is not for the well-being of the country. It's not contributing to national development. So I feel if anyone is in a leadership position, the first priority should not be self, but number one, the country you're serving and the people that sent you there. But if personal issues will affect a senator for complete 6 months, depriving her of her rights and the rights of the people in her constituency, then it's not a good one. So I think so many things need to be done so that we don't have a repeat of this. If it is seats that has been causing this problem, like you make reference to the now Senate President, when he was a senator, not a Senate President, having the same issue, it means the issue of sitting position at the National Assembly needs to be looked into. I think everyone should be briefed. It should be a consensus thing. All right, tomorrow your seat is going to be this place. Please, can I be here? I don't want to be here. All of that should be done internally.
Understand the
protocols before it's being brought to the fore, because it doesn't even speak well for senators to be exchanging words. No, I don't like this seat. I don't like that seat. And, you know, it doesn't speak well. We're talking about National Assembly here. We're talking about legislators here. So it doesn't speak well of the country. So I think we need to put the nation and the people first before self.
All right, let's put you first, as we always do here on Global Morning. We're taking a break at this point. When we return, it will be time to do a couple of other things, and then we'll unpack the rest of the program.
Nigeria at 65, a nation rich in culture, heritage, and resilience. From the banks of the River Niger to the hills of Jos, from the bustling streets of Lagos to the peaceful plains of Sokoto, Nigeria stands tall, united by hope, straightened by diversity. 65 years, the green and white flag rises high, a symbol of freedom, a promise of self-determination, a call to greatness.
Through trials and triumphs, challenges and changes, Nigeria remains unbroken. Her people, bold, brilliant, and brave, continue to rise, innovating, creating, and shaping the future. The journey has been perfect, but it has been powerful.
As we mark 65 years of independence, we remember the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to the future with hope. Together, we are stronger and united. Happy Independence, Nigeria! This message is brought to you by Global Television.
As you must have found out one way or another, the United Nations General Assembly, well, the UN is 80, is on, right? You're wondering how time flies. Well, it's on. New York is, well, lit up now for several reasons. Several issues, global concerns stacked up to be discussed. We've seen the United Nations Secretary General, Dr. Antonio Guterres, talk about issues around multipolarity, how that nations must be careful not to polarize the world order, because that's one of the concerns that governments across the world have as to whether status quo should be maintained, what are the factors that threaten the world order as it is today. We're seeing that conversation from Mr. Guterres. We've also seen Donald Trump rail against the recognition of a Palestinian state by several countries now, several of them. In fact, by some records, we're told about 75% of these countries have thrown their weight behind a two-state solution. I mean, they're supporting full throttle Palestinian states. You have that. And then you also have those who are rooting for a reconsideration by the U.S. of 8 courts, because we see over time how even United Nations agencies have aired concerns regarding how they have to scale back their operations across the world because the U.S. is pulling back real fast on account of the USAID, if you like, shutdown of some kind that has happened right now. So it's a potpourri of several issues already taken to the United Nations right now, I mean, for this UNGA 2025. And our own Vice President, Kashif Shettima, is also there to say this is what Nigeria is doing in this regard and in that regard. And then you have those coming to talk about climate change. And Donald Trump says, again, like I told you people during my first term, I don't believe in climate change.
you know, one thing with Donald Trump is that you need to just take your time and study him and know the way he do his things. But then I think I'm wanting with the United Nations General Assembly, the United General Assembly, is that so many conversations are going on, right, and world leaders are gathered. So what we are expecting so much from that meeting, and we are so glad that we have our own vice president representing the president right there, and he's talking. Not like some other presidents that may be there from beginning to end, the end, and may not have anything to say. I think that's a plus for Nigeria. But then, especially Africa, a lot of considerations needs to be given to Africa. One of the things that I'm even thinking about that should be given a whole lot of consideration is the issue of Israel and Palestine war, the war situations. If the recognition of the Palestinian state, what harm is it going to cause? These are some of the things we should be talking. They should be talking about right there, because lives and properties are being lost on a daily basis. But then, I think there needs to be more talks on this. If we have about 75 countries already throwing their weight behind the Palestinian state, then we should ask questions. What are their reasons? These other countries, no matter how powerful you are, no matter how you claim to be a world leader or the most powerful or whatever, you cannot exist in isolation. And you should also have a listening ear, you know, to an extent. So what I'm even thinking is, all right, these people should come, just like the way it's happening in Russia and Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine. I think there should be a roundtable discussion. This is a place. Now what leaders are coming together, they can also talk. These are our brothers. These are our colleagues. You know, they are also world leaders. Let's bring everyone together and talk about how this issue can be resolved once and for all, just because of the people and what is happening in that country. So a lot is being expected after this UNGA 2025. We're expecting so much to come out of it, though it has started, and we're still keeping our fingers crossed because the talks are still going on.
Oh, right. All right, so let's move things real quick on the program. Now, we're taking a break. When we return, it will be time to bring you newspaper headlines. Please do stay with us.
Now it's time for us to take you through the national dailies and see what we have from the newspapers this morning, beginning from the Nation's newspaper, where we have quite a number of headlines. On the Nation's newspaper this morning, National Assembly unseals Senator Natasha's office. I won't apologize. That's Natasha talking right there. Trump, Lula, Erdogan in firework at UNGA Day 1. 3 soldiers get life jail for selling arms to terrorists. Ibadan aglow for Ladoja's installation. Court bans Chinese firm from Osiomo power plant in Edo. Right, I think we should know that place. This one says the First Lady raises 20.4 billion naira for abandoned National Library project. I saw this and I was like, well, this is a welcome development because, like we were saying the other day, there are some persons, even though we have the internet before us, there are some persons that if it is not book,
right,
they may not be able to assimilate
hard copy.
But we're hard copy. But then, if we're talking about library, we'll still have e-libraries, apart from where we have the hard copy books to be read. Now, back to the papers. Now, the big story. On the big story, we have this one, which says how cut-in interest rates will stimulate economy by experts. CBN slashes rate to 27%. 14 major banks fully recapitalized. Finally, before I go to the final one, Federation revenue rises to 3.6 trillion naira, says NRS chair. A monthly inflow up from 711 billion naira in May 2023. FRS changes name to NRS, no more FRS. All right. Finally, from the Nation's newspaper this morning, a federal government to build a 600 capacity hostel for Abuja Law School. That's beautiful. Details you can find on page 27. That's the size of the headlines from the Nation's newspaper this morning.
Thank you, Ramsey. Now let's turn to the New National Star for you, our next port of call. All right, on the New National Star, what do we have? First off here, top left corner, it says, you are a one-term president, ADC tells Tinubu. Those details are on page 18 of the New National Star. Killing of security officers, wake-up call for leaders, Peter Obi decries. First Lady raises 20.4 billion naira for National Library completion. You know, she had said for her birthday, whatever gift anyone was going to give to her should be towards the library project. Hopefully that's exactly what we're seeing here. The Star headline tells us, defiant Natasha returns to Senate, says she won't apologize for injustice. 3 riders accompany the headline. Supporters tear gas at NAS Gate, hails opposition, NBA, NLC, CSOs, media, others for standing for justice. NAS extends recess to now resume October 7. And then on the right corner of the paper, Nigeria's FX reserves hits $42 billion, highest in 6 years. FIRS collects 20.6 trillion naira tax, archives, or achieves, I should say, 82% targets for 2025. Well, still 3 months to go. Who knows? I'm sure there's still a lot to achieve by way of revenue generation. After Dangote, Pengassan, Nupeng dare federal government over planned sale of oil assets. NIWA set to revive Oguta River Port. NDLEA boss, Marawa warns youth against drug abuse. MPC, that's the Monetary Policy Committee of the CBN, CBN lowers interest rate to 27%, retains CRR at 45%. At UNGA, Trump kicks against Palestinian states recognition. That headline has a story of the U.S. president, and you can find details for it on page 7 of today's issue of the new National Star. All right, go to details for yourself from the new National Star as Ramsey walks us through headlines now from the Daily Monitor.
All right, on the Daily Monitor this morning, we have some headlines beginning from both the nameplate. Insecurity, Obide cries killing of security operatives. We heard that some soldiers lost their life. I says it's a wake-up call for leaders to better equip, motivate security operatives. This one says Tinubu seeks reform of global financial architecture to benefit Africa's mineral. Finally, Natasha Akpoti-Addo enters NAS complex, rules out apology to Senate. First Lady raises 20 billion naira for abandoned National Library project. Osun, Borno, Lagos lead in INEC's CVR pre-online registration. That registration is massive, and that points to 2027 and what we should be expecting in 2027. Now to the big story. 5 years after, CBN cuts interest rate to 27%. 3 riders to that story, and the first rider says it lowers cash reserve ratio to 45% for DMBs. 14 banks have fully met new capital requirements. That's coming from the CBN Governor, Cardoso. NECA, CPPE commend Apex Bank's easing of credit conditions. That's the last ride to that story. Now, Nupeng, Pengasson rejects federal government's planned sale of JV oil assets. Well, that press briefing was a heated one yesterday. I was in that press briefing, and there were so many issues that were looked at, and they were saying this is not all about just the staff, okay, in the oil companies, but about Nigerians. That this is more like an asset that Nigeria has.
National asset.
National asset, as a matter of fact.
Right.
If it's been sold out, what else do we have? You know, and the Pengasson president, and of course, Nupeng president spoke extensively, and they were given instances. And one of the things that they said that caught my attention was, if previous administrations had sold, or maybe these JVs, what would have happened now? Where would we have been?
What would you be selling?
What would you be selling? Okay, looking at the economic situation, one of the things where attention is right now, and somebody was even saying, why is attention just on oil, on crude? Why not diversify? Look at agriculture and other things.
Right.
So I think this needs to be looked into. We don't know what's going to happen next, but then that's the cry from Nupeng and Pengasson. And just one rider to that story, and that's going to be the last, where it says a planned sale of JV oil assets. Proposed amendments to PIA would destabilize NNPCL, put Nigeria's economy at risk. Those are the headlines from the Daily Monitor this morning.
All right, let's move things beyond the Daily Monitor for you now to our next paper, which is the Daily Trust's newspaper. We'll begin with the headline above just immediately below the name as top right corner first. Remi Tinubu raises 20 billion naira for library project. Cuts interest rate further, economists tell central bank. We understand it's standing at 27% now, but there are economists who say there still needs to cut down further on it, all right? Bandits kill pregnant woman, others in Kwara. I mean, does it not come to you as a shock, Ramsey, that all of a sudden we're talking about bandits in Kwara? It hadn't been the case.
That's to tell you that this thing is escalating. And the reason it's escalating is because the needful has not been done. When it started from the north, if it was arrested,
like the core north now.
Like the core north, if it has been arrested, if it was arrested, then it won't escalate to other parts of the country the way it is. The other day we were talking about it here, and we said they are looking at this thing as a venture, as a business right now. Kidnapping, you know, and all of this banditry of a thing. Because some persons, it's been said, we heard security operatives and people say on social media, on papers, in the media, that there are some persons who know what to do. A governor have come out to say, well, just a phone call, all of this will be a thing of the past. We've not heard anything. Now it's escalating to Kwara. Maybe the next place we hear of is Lagos. And this is...
We pray and hope it doesn't get to the point, because, I mean, when you hear stories about how that certain number of local government areas have been taken over by bandits, by terrorists, especially those affiliated with Boko Haram and ISWAP. In fact, they've planted their flags. You're wondering. I mean, we're saying Borno State Governor, Professor Gana Zulum, come out more than once to say, look, there are local governments in my state taken over by these guys. In fact, the army is overwhelmed. The videos are out there. All right, but the question
the armies are also lamenting.
Yes, what exactly are we dealing with? You go to Zamfara, you see Governor Dauda Lawal telling you that if he can track these people on his phone, I mean, on his mobile where he's seated, how is it that the authorities who are statutorily saddled with this responsibility look helpless about it? So it just raises a lot of, if you like, theories in one's head, because whether I like it or not, we have not always been a country of terrorists and bandits and kidnappers and what have you. Because when we had the Niger Delta agitation a couple of years ago, of course, we know what the late President Yar'Adua did in that regard with the amnesty program that worked effectively 100%, and today all of that is a thing of the past. But just this morning on the final note, I was listening to radio, and then I heard a headline where Army was reportedly distributing fertilizer somewhere. And the first question that hit me was, what could have been the rationale behind that? What might have motivated it? At what point did it become the Army's responsibility to distribute fertilizer? Is there an institutional, social responsibility, initiative of some kind, or what exactly is it that necessitated that kind of move? Of course, some people will say, well, maybe because there was a community that had peculiarity in whatever sense, and what have you. But you see, as Pastor Tunde Bakare will say, we must keep the main thing the main thing.
Must keep the main thing the main thing, of course. It's overwhelming.
All right, let's just go wrap up here on the Daily Trust newspaper. All right, Soldiers bag live jail for selling arms to terrorists. That's obviously a case of collusion and complicity. Natasha resumes as Senate after 6-month suspension. Saudi Grand Mufti dies at 82. Policeman, 5 others killed in Lagos. Yobe Road crashes. Well, those are very sad narratives, no doubt. But read out details from today's issue of the Daily Trust newspaper as we move things over to the Vanguard newspaper now, where Ramsey will walk us through the headlines there.
All right, let's quickly move through the Vanguard and see the headlines that we have. Nupeng Bengasin kick against federal government's planned sale of oil and gas assets. PFN to government, fix economy, end corruption, empower citizens. Tinubu Atiku in fierce battle for Buhari's northern bloc. Davido becomes Grammy voting member for 2026 awards, that from the world of entertainment. insecurity. Nursing mom abducted. 3 soldiers jailed for selling arms to terrorists. Then you begin to ask questions. People who are supposed to fight against terrorists, selling arms to terrorists. How did we get here?
Quite an
I
irony.
think more investigation needs to be done into this issue. The big story, 14 banks fully met new capital requirement. That's coming from CBN. CBN reduces interest rate to 27%. That's one kicker. External reserve hit of $4.3 billion. NECA demands reform to ease cost of living crisis. CBN's easing of credit condition, a welcome timely intervention. That's coming from CPPE. Now Natasha Akpoti-Aduaghan storms Senate office, resumes duty. Defamation. Federal government alleges plot to scuttle Natasha's trial. First Bank sends to launch financial service for blind, physically challenged customers. The Rikuka list ethnicity, others as impediments to federalism. Finally, from the Vanguard newspaper this morning, Tinubu seeks reform of global financial architecture. Those are the headlines from the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
All right, let's just see what we can do with our last paper, which happens to be the Nigerian Tribune today. All right, top left corner, New Pengassan kick against FG's plan to sell JV oil assets. That was what Ramsey took time to talk about extensively a while ago. Senate unseals Natasha's office as she resumes amid tight security. I won't apologize, she vows, court adjourns Senator's preliminary objection to October 27. That's just in about a month. All right, the Star headline here says, business leaders express hope as CBN cuts interest rates to 27%. With 2 writers here, it's a step towards building more resilient, growth-oriented economy. That's according to CPPE. NECA DG urges strategic easing to boost growth. And then you have a picture story there of Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, his wife and his 2 children, and then in particular his son, who has just been called to the Nigerian bar. We understand the gentleman has bagged even a master's degree in law from the United Kingdom, and now he's officially a lawyer who can practice here in Nigeria. Okay, congratulations to him in the meantime. But let's move on to other things. Ekiti 2026, I have confidence in our party, as credited to Governor Yembanji. Alleged land grabbing, Ogun government files charges against 2 traditional rulers, others. What else do we have? 44th Olubadan, Tinubu, Atiku, Sultan, emirs of Kano, Ilorin expected at Ladoja's coronation. New Olubadan begins traditional rites. Ibadan in festive mood as billboards, banners flood streets. We've never witnessed such. Residents. Coronation Committee announces roads to be closed on Friday. So if Ramsey has plans to go to Ibadan this weekend, he's got to be careful and understand that roads will be closed for the most part.
Well, they said they've never seen this type happen before, according to residents. Maybe because of the little tussle that happened before this came out.
Yeah, right.
Maybe that could be the reason why all of this is happening. It's like, well, I succeeded, you know. So, well, congratulations to him and the people of Ibadan. But if I'm going to Ibadan, I'm going to use a private jet or probably a helicopter so that we can just get to the middle of the event. No obstruction.
Dr. Ramsey, he knows where the helipad is in the Ibadan. Well, this is what we leave it with the papers. Remember that all the papers and headlines we bring to you here are just as published by their respective publishers, Global Television as an organization, or the team here on Global Morning does not in any way make contribution to them. When we return, it will be time to join Ogochukwu Mopono on Social Bars. Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. Nigeria at 65, a nation rich in culture, heritage, and resilience. From the banks of the River Niger to the hills of Jos, from the bustling streets of Lagos to the peaceful plains of Sokoto, Nigeria stands tall, united by hope, straightened by diversity. 65 years, the green and white flag rises high, a symbol of freedom, a promise of self-determination, a call to greatness.
Through trials and triumphs, challenges and changes, Nigeria remains unbroken. Her people, bold, brilliant, and brave, continue to rise, innovating, creating, and shaping the future. The journey has been perfect, but it has been powerful.
As we mark 65 years of independence, we remember the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to the future with hope. Together, we are stronger and united. Happy Independence, Nigeria! This message is brought to you by Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning. Nigeria at 65, a nation rich in culture, heritage, and resilience. From the banks of the River Niger to the hills of Jos, from the bustling streets of Lagos to the peaceful plains of Sokoto, Nigeria stands tall, united by hope, straightened by diversity. 65 years, the green and white flag rises high, a symbol of freedom, a promise of self-determination, a call to greatness.
Through trials and triumphs, challenges and changes, Nigeria remains unbroken. Her people, bold, brilliant, and brave, continue to rise, innovating, creating, and shaping the future. The journey has been perfect, but it has been powerful.
As we mark 65 years of independence, we remember the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to the future with hope. Together, we are stronger and united. Happy Independence, Nigeria! This message is brought to you by Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
If conversations were raised today about late former President Muhammadu Buhari, there are several things Nigerians and indeed those within the political class will have to say about him. And one of those things is the fact that he took out time to build organic followership from the ground up. 2003, the man ran for president. 2007, he repeated that same feat. 2011, he tried for the third time until by 2015 when he broke through. However, the CPC, the vehicle, if you like, the political party that he had used the entire time until the merger that happened in 2014, leading to the emergence of the APC, the former president took out time to ensure that he won the loyalty of millions of people across the country, especially from the north. And today, that has become a subject of debate for many politicians. We're now hearing, especially as the news is reporting this morning, that there's a battle, whatever that means, between President Tinubu and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as to who gets that base, that political base. Because once the former president passed on, the question of who gets his 11 million votes, some people say 12 million votes, became the basis for conversation. And a colleague here asked, I mean, why are we making it look like this base, these voters, they are not human beings, as if they are a piece of merchandise that you can say, move it away from, we hand it over to Ramsey, and things like that. But you can't take away from the fact that politics is a game of numbers.
Yeah, that's true, because it's even the numbers. That's why some persons will tell you, well, if you can win this location, if you can win this location, if you can win this location. And some persons will tell you, well, it is a game. The reason I need to make this person my running mate is because of the number. He's going to help me get the number and all of that. But then I think politics is, the electorate are getting wiser. But then, so if you're talking about getting wiser, you should also be thinking about the issue of weaponizing poverty and hunger, which make people vulnerable to some situations. Take, for instance, someone who is originally not supposed to vote for a particular candidate. You see them voting. And politicians have a way of manipulating these numbers to make it count for them. You know, I think some people are expert in doing that. They know, if you're talking about vote buying can be done in several ways. You know, apart from the sharing of money, vote for me, our agent to be there to monitor you. You finish voting, you raise up your, before you vote, you raise it up to see who you are voting for. And apart from that, there are so many things that these people do that amount to vote buying and electoral malpractice. Why are they doing all these things? Because of the number.
Right. Well, we can never stop talking about the numbers. But let's again take a break now. When we return, Ramsey will engage our next guest on PDP convention and what the party intends to do in 2027 by way of putting its best foot forward.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
The People's Democratic Party, PDP, was in power for a very long time. And, of course, APC came in after the coalition. But now, should we call that coalition? Well, whatever it is, the coming together of some parties and party stalwarts to form the All Progressive Congress, which remove the People's Democratic Party from the office. But one of the things that PDP promised Nigerians is taking back power again. We saw what happened in 2023. There was a serious push. And some persons said, well, the People's Democratic Party will need to show something in 2027. These are Nigerians talking. But beyond just making statements, we have a lot of things going on. First of all, there are speculations that the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party was going to be a presidential candidate in the People's Democratic Party come 2027. Some other person said there are groups warning the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the person of His Excellency Goodluck Jonathan to return back to Aso Rock again, contesting under the platform of the People's Democratic Party. But then, there are so many things happening in the People's Democratic Party. I've attended some of their NEC meetings. I've gone to cover events, some of their events, and you see a lot of things unfolding. The issue of crisis, internal crisis in the party. And now, we heard, I was in that meeting where both the NEC and both met, and they said, well, the issue in the People's Democratic Party has since been dissolved. Everyone have come to a compromise. They've agreed. They've come to terms. The issue, the problem is over. And the BOT chairman spoke to us, the media, that there is no problem anymore. So what else? Working towards a successful 2027. But then, there are some factions, some persons that have not really accepted what was agreed from that meeting. And finally, there have been the need for convention, of course. That is where major issues happen. But the convention, we'll be talking about it this morning. And of course, how prepared is the People's Democratic Party as far as 2027 is concerned? Nigerians still believe that the People's Democratic Party is the recognized opposition party in Nigeria right now, even though we have ADC right now as the coalition party, which has been recognized by the electoral body, talking about Independent National Electoral Commission. They have recognized the leadership of the ADC. Joining me on the conversation this morning is a PDP member and a public affairs analyst. And we will be looking at the issues in the party. He's a member, so he should be able to tell us one or two things about the happenings in the party. We have Aliu Bilal right here with us in the studio this morning. It's good to have you join us on Global Morning.
It's my pleasure, Ramsey.
Well, this is Honorable Aliu Bilal, a PDP member and a public affairs analyst. Let's get into the conversation now. As it is, a lot of Nigerians, are not really understanding what is happening in the People's Democratic Party as it has to do with internal crisis. I am not part of it, I am part of it, and all of that. So what is the state of the party at the moment?
Thank you very much, Ramsey. As it stands today, there are no longer hindering crisis in the People's Democratic Party. All issues have already been resolved. And right now, we just constituted the subcommittees for the forthcoming convention in Ibadan in November 5th, start going to be on November 15th. And members of the committees are already making preparations for the conventions. The House is now in order. All PDP governors, elected PDP members in the National Assembly and States Assembly, and also at the local governments level, are all in sync with the November 15th conventions. Just 2 weeks ago, we just concluded the World Congress and also the LGA Congress across, states, the federation. Everything is now, in order. This whole issues and crisis that have been going on since, which was more triggered by the FCT minister and all. The members of the party and also the leadership have all come together to see, how they can resolve the whole issues. This is not the first time that the PDP had crises. Over the years, we've witnessed issues like this, and we've been able to overcome the storm. This is the only political party in Nigeria and also West Africa as a whole that has witnessed so many, crises whereby we are well experienced when it comes to politicking and also issues of governance. The PDP is not just a party, it is a culture at this point in time. We've had different parties coming in, trying to rebrand, changing names and all. But the PDP is the only party that has that's been standing still like over the years, over the past 20 years. And the party is well positioned to take back its place, to take back, the mantle of leadership at the presidential level and also other levels of governance as it stands today. We're all set for the November 15th convention, and the House right now is in order and everyone is happy to be back. And, we're still also expecting people coming from the coalition back to the party. It's unfortunate for, some members who were too fast to decamp to the ADC,
All right. You made mention of the FCT minister while you were speaking. Now, the issue of the FCT minister not in tandem with some of the things happening in PDP, because this convention that we're talking about here, some persons are saying the convention may not hold or may be distracted or obstructed. And if that convention doesn't hold, there are implications. Are you sure that the FCT minister is now cool with everything happening in the People's Democratic Party? You can give us instances.
Well, the whole house is now in order. The party is way bigger than the FCT minister. When you look at the crisis over the past 2 years, it mostly looks like the governors and also other members of the leadership of the party, were tired of the past presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, because they know that he is the only, the party candidate in the party that has the, political gravity to outwit other contenders. For example, we can see some of the governors are completing their 8-year, tenure, and they are interested in running for the presidency. The presidential ticket has been zoned to the north 2 times, and right now there's more of like a power shift whereby the leadership of the party had to zone it to the south. These governors right now are in their prime, and this is a time for them to, go out there to contest and try out to see how they can, get the presidential ticket. Now that Atiku has been frustrated out of the party and he has gone to the ADC, the moment he left to the ADC, as you can see, there is now, unity in the party. The party has now put all his have now put the whole house in order, and that's the situation on ground right now. Since ever the former presidential candidates defected to the ADC, the house is now already in order. The whole PDP governors are united, and most of the people who have already decamped the other parties are about returning back to the PDP, because they know this is a party that has, the resources and the, maturity to resolve its problem and stand against all storms. Now the FCT minister is now on his own. He's now on his own in the sense that he is like, taking a job from this present administration, and he is working for them. And, he feels the only value he can bring to the APC at this point in time is to destabilize the People's Democratic Party. And right now, the party is way bigger than him. The house is in order. The governors and all elected members and also floor members of the party are all united. That's why, as you can see in Channel's TV interview some weeks ago, where he called the acting national chairman of the PDP a betrayer. The FCT minister is way too frustrated because he has seen the party is way bigger than him, and there are no elements that he can use at this point in time to destabilize the party at large.
Now, something is very, very important. You just talked about it, and that's the issue of defection. One of the things, someone told me something. He said, well, how he wish there is no defection in politics in Nigeria, because you see people cross-carpeting from one party to the other when it's no longer in their favor. There was a lot of defection from the People's Democratic Party, and some Nigerians are thinking that that may affect the party in a way. But I heard you say they will be returning back, but we don't know the possibility of that. We don't know whatever reason that made them defect. Generally, apart from the People's Democratic Party, what do you think about people moving from one party to the other?
Well, one thing about politics is more all about interests. So see where your interests, where you align. It's so crazy that we tend to see people, the campaign from one party or another, based on the fact that some parties are not built with principles. There are no any form of ideologies. You get that, and the politicians and the Nigerian political scheme, a lot of them are, very desperate to run for office, to grab political power and also gain relevant. And when you also look at the ruling party, has tried, all means to destabilize the opposition, and they're finding it difficult at this point in time, in the sense of, threatening people with cases, corruption cases and all. Just like when you look at the former vice presidential candidate, Ifeanyi Okowa, was allegations were placed against him on, money laundering and financial misappropriation. And, they used that to like sway him into the, APC. And the moment he joined the APC, that case has been silenced. As a former National Party chairman of the APC once said, Senator Adams Oshiomhole once said that the moment you join the APC, your sins have been forgiven. These are things that are not meant to be. As you can see, most of these political parties are not built on ideologies and all. So these are the steps, the moves that the ruling party has been taking in order to destabilize the oppositions. And right now, the only viable opposition in the country today is the People's Democratic Party. The People's Democratic Party is a big problem to the APC at this point in time. And the fact that the PDP has zoned the presidential ticket to the South, we have some stronger candidates coming up from that side, where you're looking at the likes of Goodluck Jonathan, the likes of Seyi Makinde. These are strong political heavyweights that can, outwit
place of the People's Democratic Party, as it has to do with place of the People's Democratic Party, as it has to do with giving APC a run for their money in 2027. Generally, what's your thought on 2027?
I would tell you the ADC is a disaster, based on the fact that some group of desperate politicians from, the PDP and also the APC, for example, the PDP members were unable to sit down together and unify themselves to resolve the issues. And the moment they left the party, they went to the ADC, and they have taken over structures of the ADC. And there are now factions within the ADC based on the fact that they are aggrieved because these people have taken over their positions and spots. And looking at the ADC today has no structure. The PDP has solid structures on ground in order to, contest the 2027 general elections. And you can see the major contenders under the ADC proposing one term in office. All these things doesn't make any sense. They are being so desperate, knowing fully well, like, you can't expect somebody like Atiku to tell you that he proposes a single term tenure and wouldn't go back to run for second term. It's not possible at all. People are not stupid at this point in time. They are very desperate to, clinch power. Most of those people will be coming back to the PDP, and they already regret it because they left too early. They were not able to stay
Maybe
back.
Because of the problem.
Well, as a party, you have to, it's more like a sacrifice. You have to, come together and see how you can address issues. Now, the issues have been addressed, And one of the thing again is about Atiku running over and over again, and most people in the party are tired about that. The moment they notice that the ticket will be zoned to the South, made them move to the APC to the ADC, because the ticket over there, it's going to be like open, and without winning the primaries, there is no way you can, run for the general elections. So now they found a platform where they can get a ticket to run. But at this point in time, the PDP is still the, viable opposition party in the country today.
Oh, all right. You just talked about zoning now. I was going to ask you about that question. First of all, after the reconciliation, there was an agreement that it was going to be based on zoning.
Yes.
Then later on, they said it is open. Okay, the presidential ticket is open. That was when they were talking about the issue of Jonathan. Some persons were talking about the issue of Peter Obi, and some persons were saying Atiku and all of that. What do you think of the zoning thing and making it open? How is it going to work for the People's Democratic Party?
Well, the zoning isn't open. It's zoned to the south. But that doesn't stop someone from the north coming out to contest. The zoning is a formula whereby the party members and the leadership come together and agree, okay, it's coming to the south, and this is where, the support of the party members are, going through. This issue of zoning was one of the things that really, hit the PDP in the 2023 elections. Okay, they said it was zoned to the south. Then the leader came out to say the zoning is open. All people can come out to contest. Okay, they went into the field, and Atiku emerged as the presidential candidate. Now, you can't have a national chairman and a presidential candidate from the same zone. That's why Wike was very aggrieved, because at that point in time, what were you meant to do? Okay, they failed to give him the vice presidential tickets. Okay, withdraw the national chairmanship position from the north and zone it to the south, and they refused. That was one of the reasons that really, led to the emergence of the G5 governors and having so many factors. I know it's so simple. Sometimes in politics, you just need to let some things to just, happen just for peace to reign. Atiku, making the national chairman, step down for a southern, candidates. He had nothing to lose. Picking a vice presidential candidate who doesn't have any form of political gravity, he even lost his states. There was nothing wrong in making Wike the vice presidential candidate, because he has the political gravity, he has the national spread, he has the political machineries in order to boost the chances of the PDP at that point in time. And he was disgruntled, and he had to go and support the APC openly, and that was the beginning of the problem of the People's Democratic Party. And right now, he's now in a tight corner. He can't come back to the PDP, but he still has to finish his work at the APC, because it's more like an agreement that he has made with them, and he has already pledged that he's going to support the president even until 2027. And knowing fully well, the kind of person that's loyal, once he says something, that is it, because she came out openly to say he's not going to support the PDP. He said it openly, unlike how some people do, go behind doors, get involved in anti-party activities. But at this point in time, he came out openly to, let the public know that he isn't supporting the People's Democratic Party. He's supporting the APC. That was where the problem of the People's Democratic, Party started. there was nothing wrong for Atiku to ensure that the national chairman at that point in time was meant to step down for a southern candidate, and maybe based on the fact that he has had like a very long relationship with Iyorchia Ayu, the then national chairman. I know, sometimes in politics you just need to set aside emotions, because looking at the way and style of Atiku's politics is based on emotions, and when you play in politics, you have to keep emotions aside and face reality. How would you be able to win an elections with 5 governors down and other, factions within the party in a wrangling crisis? It felt too big to, agree to the terms of the, agreements made by Wike at that point in time, and also the fact of Peter Obi going to the Labour Party. There was nothing wrong. I don't know why he didn't come together to approach Peter Obi and also Kwankwaso to come together to unify them, to still remain under the People's Democratic Party, to work for the common goal to ensure that the PDP emerged victorious in the 2023 presidential elections. He felt like he was too big to call those people to come and work with him and remain in the party. In politics, you just have to keep emotions aside, or else it's going to have a very negative effect in the long run.
All right, negative effect at the long run. Now, the issue of fielding Goodluck Jonathan as a presidential candidate, then Atiku's aide, all right, also said his principal may also be contesting. And you know how long he has been contesting. It's not tired yet. You just narrated a scenario, all right, that resulted to the faction in the People's Democratic Party, which you and a lot of other of your party members are not in tandem with. They don't really love it. They don't support it. It doesn't go down well with them. The issue of Jonathan contested for presidential position, then Atiku is also there. Some people are even speculating that Peter Obi is going to defect to the People's Democratic Party. What's your perspective of all of this?
Well, Atiku has openly declared that he's going to run for the 2027, elections. Jonathan is a viable candidate. He's a strong candidate. He's the kind of person that once we get South is going to be locked in, and also get some chunks of votes in the Southwest, and also the North Central, and the Northeast, because these are PDP strongholds. He did a 4-year tenure and I think a 2-year tenure as a substantive president, and he's a very strong candidate to get the ticket, and strong enough to also give the APC a run for their money. I know Peter Obi also is also a good candidate. Chances of him coming back to the PDP, because as I said earlier, the ADC is going to be a disaster, because there are so many people, fighting to, get that ticket. When you look at the likes of Amechi, Atiku, and all, the party is open to receive people defecting back. So at this point in time, having people like Jonathan and Peter Obi is going to be a big advantage to the People's Democratic Party. on the long run, based on their track records and also political gravity, and also, having a grip within the youthful populations. Because as it stands, the voters register, youth constitutes more the percentage and the voters register, and it's going to be a big plus to the Democratic Party.
Right, it's going to be a big plus to the People's Democratic Party. We're looking at the crisis in the People's Democratic Party, and of course, preparations towards 2027. Somebody said it's going to be a free run for the All Progressive Congress in 2027. Are you of the same school of thought?
Definitely. Who else is going to challenge the president? Nobody. There's no one there. They're all bowing down to him. So it's going to be a walkover for him, just as what happened in 2019 for Buhari. So it's going to be unopposed. It's going to be a walkover for him. So that's the situation with the All-Progressive.
So he's going to be returning back.
He's going to the ticket is going to get back the ticket again, but returning back to the villa is not certain.
Okay, he's going to get a ticket in APC as the sole presidential candidate, unopposed.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, from the primaries.
Definitely.
Okay, but what about winning the election in 2027?
There's no guarantee for him to win the elections in 2027 based on the situation of the country as it stands. The high rate of inflation, the middle class drifting down into the poverty line, and all the people from the poverty line are finding it difficult to escape. Policies, implementation of policies that don't favor the masses. And all, these are, issues being faced by the All Progressive Congress, because as it stands, they have nothing to campaign with during the 2027, elections. And as we know, Nigerians are tired, and the pain is becoming unbearable for citizens to handle at this point in time. So there is no guarantee that the president is going to come back to the villa in 2027. Nigerians are now regrouping to, fight against the All Progressive Congress through the ballots. And at this point in time, it's very, the course is clear for the People's Democratic Party, to take this advantage and, restore Nigeria back to what it is, because as you can see, most of the mega infrastructural developments in the nation today were all facilitated by PDP-led governments over the years.
All right. Well, I think 2027 is very pregnant, but then it's like you just wrote off ADC. ADC is not a competition.
It's not pregnant. It's clear, as you can see from the statistics, and all, and the feedback from the masses are, you tend to find out that it's going to be a very tough one for the APC.
All right.
The ADC is nothing to write home about as it stands. There are so many form of internal crises out there right now. There are court cases there, and they're trying to, they are still struggling to put their house in order. And when you look at even some of the Atiku associates, like the likes of Sule Lamido, Babangida Aliyu, Tambuwal, they haven't defected to him to the ADC. They still remain with the People's Democratic Party. That was a very wrong calculation for Atiku to make at that time.
All right, thank you very much. Well, I think it's getting very serious. But then you just told me now that 2027 is not pregnant. That it's obvious.
Definitely.
Well, you know what you are saying. This is a PDP member and a public affairs analyst, Aliyu Bilal, and of course he's the one talking to us right now. about the People's Democratic Party and preparations for 2027. Many thanks for joining us on the program this morning. Well, we hope to see you maybe contesting someday for a political position in your party, maybe after the convention. So we're looking forward to the convention now, right?
Definitely.
All right. He said definitely. So many thanks for this first conversation, Bilal. Now we will go on a quick break. When we return, we'll get into the second conversation before we bring Global Morning to a close. Stay with us. Thank you. We'll talk here.
Nigeria at 65, a nation rich in culture, heritage, and resilience. From the banks of the River Niger to the hills of Jos, from the bustling streets of Lagos to the peaceful plains of Sokoto, Nigeria stands tall, united by hope, straightened by diversity. 65 years, the green and white flag rises high, a symbol of freedom, a promise of self-determination, a call to greatness.
Through trials and triumphs, challenges and changes, Nigeria remains unbroken. Her people, bold, brilliant, and brave, continue to rise, innovating, creating, and shaping the future. The journey has been perfect, but it has been powerful.
As we mark 65 years of independence, we remember the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to the future with hope. Together, we are stronger and united. Happy Independence, Nigeria! This message is brought to you by Global Television.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day. Well, it's so important to also look at security situations in Nigeria because I think hardly there's anything you say now that you hear of security, banditry, kidnapping here and there. Just this morning, we're talking about the issue of banditry and how some persons have talked about the possibility of arresting this situation and the escalation of this banditry from the north to the north central to the east and to the west. Today it was Kwara that is in the papers. But today we want to mirror the security challenges at the Federal Capital Territory as we have a security expert join us on the program in the person of Comrade Saliu Dantata Mahmoud. He is, of course, the president of Salute Nigeria, that is Director of Security Salute Nigeria Initiative. It's good to have you join us on the program this morning, comrade.
Thank you very much, Mr. Agbo Ramsin, the erudite anchor person, and Nigerians are watching you from home and abroad.
Thank you very much. My colleague, Uye Agbomofuegbe, is also here with us on the program this morning. All right.
Good morning, colleague, anchor person. Well done to you.
Mahmoud, it's a pleasure to have you in the program.
Thank you very much.
All right. We're looking at these challenges of insecurity in Nigeria, and we're mirroring down to the Federal Capital Territory in the FCT. What's your assessment of the security situation in FCT?
Thank you very much. You know, we have been stakeholders in FCT here since the 90s, not today. And I want to tell you, the FCT has a security services department. And in the FCT, there are two major uniform agencies under the Federal Capital Territory Administration. You know, ITATO, the FCT was called Ministry of Federal Capital Territory until Rufai came and changed it to Federal Capital Territory Administration. Then with coming of Wike, he got an independent civil service, got some permanent secretaries and host of others. As it stands now, I can say the police, the army, the Air Force, the DSS, the NDLE, the VIO, the FRSC, Civil Defense, and others have been doing their best. Particularly when I start from the Ministerial Task Force. You know, there is a Ministerial Task Force at WIE, which has the FCT DRTS, VIO, which has the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense, which has the police, DSS, and other service agencies who go against Okada riding, because you know bandits use Okada, that is motorcycle, as well as insurgents. So in order for that not to be not to be practical in Abuja, the Ministerial Task Force severally go there. However, there are new developments now that the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike need to urgently tackle. Because when you have Federal Capital Territory Administration, you have two lead uniform agencies, and one of them, particularly the FCT DRTS, which is VIO, is the lead agency in the Ministerial Task Force that does operation against route lining by Keke Napep operators, illegal Okada riding in metropolitan center, action against one chance, as well as unpainted taxi, sometimes used for criminality, and other general duties as given to them by the FCT Minister. And that particular directorate now, since the retirement of the director, Dr. Abdulatif Bello, who himself did his best, but you know, sometimes when you are in leadership, there are always problems. Then I think the officers and men that ought to, they are complaining that the woman they handed over to, that is the deputy director of operation, that she's not the one that is supposed to be, they should have followed standards. So that has brought rancor and disunity in the FCT Director of Road Traffic Services. So that is why in security, sometimes when the morale of officers and men is low, it creates problem, because for an institution like that is also involved in operation against Okada, operation against that, and within it, the competent people are not in charge. There is problem. So that is why the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike should please correct certain things. Are you with me?
Yes, I am. We are with you.
So should correct certain things, the leadership crisis in the FCT DRTS. We know the standards, mechanical engineers, transport experts, and others at the discretion of the minister that can be appointed, but they should correct it. Then coming to general security appraisal, I think the FCT Commissioner of Police has been doing a lot, but the problems here are surveillance, sustained 24-hour surveillance is lacking. Because sometimes around National Mosque, back of Sheraton, Tofa House Junction, Zone 4 Bridge, Zone 5, and some isolated areas in Wuse 2, Maitama, Mabushi, you see people snatching phone, or maybe where there are bombs, you go and you slow down, you see sometimes they put hand in your what have you. So if the police and other intelligence agencies sustain, 24-hour surveillance, you can be over giving situation report to control. This is what is happening here and there. Isn't it shameful that with all the noise we've been making, so the FCT Minister should give much more support to the police, Ministerial Task Force and others. Like that Ministerial Task Force, I can tell you, you can see the rickety vehicles, if not even for the discretion of the head of the task force, who is Shehu Adam. He has been able to operate outside even the water, because the issues are you set up Ministerial Task Force. There are no logistics, no vehicles, no other things. Sometimes they sustain themselves out. Then how do you now rule out certain what have you that you talk about? So I think the FCT Minister, the way he's prioritizing infrastructure, should also prioritize security. Like that Ministerial Task Force, once they are equipped, given allowance, as given those vehicles and what have you, they themselves can complement the effort of gas brigades, police, and whatever. Even though we have police in their place, the issues are they are lacking operational vehicles in hazard insurance allowances. In fact, for what they said, the allowances are not. So if you now have to go and tackle one chance, how do you move? Sometimes you see their vehicle, you say, this Ministerial Task Force made up of VIO, made up of police, civil defense, immigration, armed squad, and also others. So security is all about giving. budgetary allocation should be expanded and increased. FCT minister must do the needful. Then for the officers amend themselves too. It goes beyond just standing in one checking point, because sometimes you come back to these checking points around 2:30, you can't find them. Those in e-loxes are there, even with due respect to some of them. Some are sleeping, some are awake. But if there is sustained intelligence gathering, as well as surveillance, all this skeletal, phone robbery, car theft in areas. Do you know shamefully an e-lox with a revolver live was stolen as on one TBM planner belonging to coordinator of Conference of Patriotic Nigerians, who himself have been defending the security agencies and the government. So broad daylight they do that. So the security situation, I can say a lot still needed to be done. And I've given certain insight. So, for example, like the FCT TRT that is VIO, surveillance traffic monitoring cameras can be procured by Wiki for them, because they also play a major role in security in FCT. That is why when they are to do demolition, when there is an operation jointly, you also find them. Even show of power, you find them there. So that is to say they are also important in it. So, but what Wiki need to do immediately, as one of his primary uniform agency in FCT, this FCT fire service was carved out of the FCT DRTS. So it's just like in the police. When you want to appoint IG, you don't go and bring veterinary doctor. You choose among the general duty officers or other officers and what have you. But what has happened in DRTS now that the staffs, that even the chef protest, I think the FCT minister should address, let him go to nominal role. Okay, for example, who is a transport and logistic expert, who is a mechanical engineer, who is this, and then you can appoint career progression, even though we know some past administration in FCT distorted the right for Yarufa administration. When they retrenched from, it was from there the career progression started suffering. So far in the directorate there, they have had Colonel Rotimi Alade, who was a retired lieutenant colonel, non-professional, brought. We had Major Arukungu, who was a military officer, retired, brought. We also had a retired road safety deputy Marshal Garba Mohammed, brought. Then the man that just left, who was brought for security services. Even though Dr. Abdelatif Bello, the immediate past director, tried, because coming from the security services department, he did a lot by coordinating the security for FCT Minister Musa Mohammed Bello, even in DRTS, like for example, a lot of initiatives, but the issue is that, in the house, when morale is not high and things are not going well, there's tendency of progress. So totally, with the FCT security agencies, police, gas brigades, Navy, Air Force, DRTS, FRSC, security and civil defense, NTLA, beyond their operation suite that they move in convoy patrol. That is not what we need to build security up. Don't forget the borders to FCT and going out and coming in are porous. For example, the Abaji axis of going to Kogi and other states is porous. Then the Abuja, Kefinyanya is porous. Then talk about the Suba, Kaduna axis are reserved. Then talk about the Suleja FCT, which is Niger, FCT and also other things. So where are the able-bodied security officers at the entry and exit points with their e-loxes like 3-4 multi-dimensional security agencies? So when you are coming in, you hardly find, before around day you find gas brigades checking. It's no longer there, and you don't do security like that. So far the Commissioner of Police is trying, the gas brigades commander is trying, the DRTS, they are trying, the FRSC, the NTLA are also, but a lot still needed. Commandant of Civil Defense, they are trying, but a lot still needed to be done, especially on internal intelligence gathering, disguised intelligence gathering, surveillance. During Abacha, there used to be GMC, made up of strike force, hovering Asokoro Villa Expressway, Area 1. They go even as far as Babalena. You find police CID among them, you find TMI of the Nigerian Army among them, TNI of Nigerian Navy, TAI of Nigerian Air Force. You find other agencies in the Bible, PSS and others in the GMC Bible. All these surveillances are lacking now. You can stay in Zofo Bridge for up to 1 hour. You can't find surveillance vehicle. How do they do it? Even though in the night around Wusetu, you see some white e-lox with a security member with long aerial view on Uvering. We are not talking about metropolis alone. What about the exit point between Matama Wusetu, Area 1, Asokoro, Nyanya also? These are the areas that some of these criminals also use sometimes because they know they are isolated.
Mahmoud, I want to, yes, we don't have to go into the rigors of discussing how embarrassing it is when you hear that people get kidnapped in a place like the Federal Capital Territory, families and other loved ones are forced to cough out money they probably don't have just to secure their release and things like that. But I want to take your mind back to 2 years ago, 21st of August, 2023. That was the day Minister Nyesom Wike and other ministers were inaugurated. During his inaugural address to the press, one of the things he said was to assure the Commissioner of Police in the FCT, as well as other heads of security outfits in the nation's capital, that whatever they need, he said that with emphasis, he would provide for them, but they must give him assurances they would deliver on their mandate. What is lacking? Is it possible that these vital resources, including funding, have not been made available to them, or are we dealing with other challenges away from funding?
Well, even though the FCT minister is not in charge of police, civil defense, and other federal agencies, they only complement each other's efforts. So whatever assistance is given is like complementing the efforts. Are you getting me?
Right.
Like donation of vehicles, money, as that. I think since his inception, he has donated vehicles to them. Are you getting me? But beyond that, what about the day-to-day running allowances? Even though we know all the institutions have it, but the funding is poor for the police, civil defense, or that of army, I cannot say, because their defense force, they have been taken care of in most cases. Are you with me?
Right.
But I don't think the challenge Wike gave has lived up to it, because shamefully, that ministerial joint task force is lacking in funding operational vehicles, as that allowances. For months now, even the allowances have not been paid, and that is the lead ministerial joint task force. Then again, your own agency that even generate revenue, like the FCT, Director of Road Traffic Services, that is leading the ministerial joint task force, followed by the police, civil defense, immigration, armed squad, and also others, is also not finding it. Is overhead costs for some time now. FCT DRTS has been lacking. And don't forget, they do number plates business, they do tripartite number driver's license, they do operation fine, even though court altered it for some time, even though they are doing skeletal one. All those revenues, some of them are shared between Remital and FCT Treasury. And still, Wike has not yet lived up to expectations. So I think it is not like castigating him is appeal, because in democracy you advise leaders. So I think the Security Services Director need to do a strong memo to him. What he need to give the gas brigades, the police, FCT, DRTS, FRSC, civil defense, NDLEA, security and civil defense, immigration, and other people partake in ministerial task force, because this operation, it is not the numbers of e-logs we want to see on the road that they are doing the operations or show of force. No. Convoy patrol are not even running across the world. You do disguise things. You can buy vehicles to be painted in other colors where security agencies from DRTS, FRSC, police, arms, security and civil defense, gas brigades, and others will even be in places where people will not know. It is from there you know who is doing one chance. How did they load? Where are they going? Who are they tormenting? You can be at those isolated central areas where the snatch shown around 7 and 8 o'clock. Then you can be where they normally snatch Corolla, e-logs, and so that is what security is all about. This guys method, intelligence gathering, and surveillance. Surveillance is key and is lacking in FCT. And that is why these boys themselves, they know where the security agencies are, and they go to where the areas are isolated, where you go and park your vehicle before you go to the day. They take it away, where you are moving someone.
All right, we're just going to take a break now, quickly, everyone. We're back shortly with the rest of the program. Do stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Monday through Sunday to a wide range of latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
And the president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Security in Nigeria is by all means, an issue of importance, priority number one, especially given the situation where we have found ourselves now as a people. However, in the case of Abuja, it appears there's a bit of peculiarity because one of the first things that pop up on people's minds is, well, why the nation's capital? There's the issue of image. Of course, you have to talk about the loss of lives and valuables and several other things. The one chance phenomenon, for example, has been here for a while, and hopefully those numbers are also dropping in that regard, and that's some of the issues that our guest has thrown light on this morning.
Well, I think the issue of security, especially in FCT, because we're talking about FCT because FCT is the seat of power. Some persons will tell you, well, in FCT there shouldn't be a security situation at all because we have all the mighty men here, and these mighty men are protected by a lot of security operatives. And of course, if by extension, that should also extend to the average Nigerians too in the area of curbing insecurity in FCT. But then Comrade Mahmoud Saliu have been able to give a breakdown. That was intensive enough, a breakdown where we're having issues. He even went as far as calling name of places where security needs to be intensified in FCT. You know how these people take advantage of isolated places. There was a time you were telling me about how some men came on a bike to snatch a phone.
6:33 a.m.
6:33 a.m. Weekday. You know, from some people who were just going to their office or going about their normal business. So this thing, I think we have enough security operatives, I think, that should be mounted at some strategic places. There is a place at the central area here where a lot of people have fallen victims, where phones have been snatched, laptop valuables have been snatched here. Despite the fact that you have a security checkpoint at distance meters away and all of that. So I think the FCT minister and the people in authority, like the comrade have said, is a security expert. Of course. They are doing so much, but it needs to be intensified.
Thank you so much, Ramsey. That's what we're leaving it, everyone. A big thank you to you for watching. Remember, as always, that the views of our guests on this program, as well as all of our other programs, are their opinions. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe.
I am Ramsey Enoch Abu.